If elevating your website is on your goal list for 2025, these are the 9 must try web design trends that I am seeing run rampant, and I think they can really help make your website stick out. But we're also going to go over when not to use them. Design trend number 1 will probably come as a shock to absolutely no one, but bright, bold, and beautiful is definitely in. So, this is just an example. Another person who I feel like did this really well in 2024 was Jenna Kutcher. Let's take a look at her website. I love Jenna's website because it is vibrant and it's colorful. It reflects her personality without being like annoyingly in your face. She is a prime example of somebody who started off when I started following her back in 2018, maybe even before that, she was doing more photography. She was serving high end weddings. And so she had a lot of neutrals in her color palette. And she has since very much pivoted her business to be serving new entrepreneurs with her podcast in particular. And so if you are somebody who is serving new entrepreneurs, they're excited, they're energetic, they're ready to go. She talks about marketing. This color palette is going to fit much better than a more neutral color palette that was serving the brides, back in 2016. So big changes made to her website. It's obviously stunning. That is just an example. Now, who is this not for? Because having all these colors is not for everyone. For example, it's not necessarily for me. If you look at just like my decor in my house, I do a lot of whites and that type of thing. But at the same time, when you think about my ideal client, I do serve a lot of people trying to DIY their websites. So they're probably in the newer part of their business. And so I did want to have color and energy. So if you look at my website, let's go to it really quick. You'll see that my brand colors are a little bit more muted, but I do still have some of the bright orange. I'm using a lot of white space. So it's definitely a more minimalist vibe, but we do still have some color in it. The second design trend I'm seeing is micro interactions. So if you see this little icon kind of twisting, there are things, if you already have a color palette you love and you're not ready to do a complete overhaul, this is something you can just go on your website, add a couple of these, and they help to just engage the user. Another really great place to do it is with your buttons. So if you hover over, it really draws attention to the button, which is obviously what I wanted to do for this template. The third thing is really featuring text and letting text drive the design of the website. So this type of thing, or on Squarespace, you can do this very, very easily. I'll link a blog below about how to do this on Show It. You can code it in pretty easily as well. But moving text is one way to just add a design element. Other people are just really going bold and letting text, again, drive the design. If you look at this website, there is a photo of her, but look at how the text just captures your attention. That is something you're going to see even more of in 2025. Parallax scrolling has been around for years, where like the background stays and then everything else moves, kind of like on this website. But it's become a lot easier to do on Squarespace. You can like pin objects. So I'm starting to see it a lot more on Squarespace websites. Tonic is a show it, but again, I'm seeing it all over the place. So definitely think about using it. At the same time, be careful because you want to really focus on usability and readability. So anytime the scrolling really affects that, it's going to inhibit the design. It's 2025. I have to mention AI. How can I not? Squarespace now has it integrated in their platform as you're designing, but we all have heard about ChatGPT, and honestly, it's a really great way to help you come up with like your copy if you have no idea how to write about yourself. You could say write a paragraph about insert your name, make it fun, witty, whatever is your like. I want people when they think of me to think of fun and helpful, so I would use those type of terms, and then you can continue to tweak this because you still want your brand voice. Even if you're writing blog posts, you want your brand voice. Yes, AI can help you come up with like the structure, but then go in and implement your experiences, add photos, add videos, because Google knows what's written by AI and what's not. And so they're going to bump up the things that were organically written by you. So just keep in mind ways to make it sound like you and not like a robot. As I've shown you some of these past websites, you probably have noticed a lot of curvy lines separating sections. That is something that Squarespace implemented a couple of years ago on their platform. Again, it's so easy to do that people are doing it left and right. So keep in mind if it is something, if you're a very like, maybe you're an accounting firm and you're working with people who are making seven figures, that element might not work with your brand. But for certain people, it will look good. And so it's very easy to, again, achieve in Squarespace. Canva Design Trends 2025 report also mentioned how bold shapes are in and colorfulness. So if that works with your brand, that's what you really need to keep in mind. Then I would say, yes, go ahead, use, I love these, like, icons. We're seeing that with emojis. But if you're like, this does not fit with my brand, how can I do that while not having it be just completely off my brand? I loved how it's stock. They're like a stock photography membership. I'll link them below. I love how they did it with their Instagram stories. They, rounded corners to like have that fun, but it still looks very professional. It still's those neutral colors. So there's ways you can do it on your website without it being just crazy, overbearing, bold, if that's not your vibe. Okay, we have three more, but let me know in the comments, out of those six, are there any that you are going to implement on your website? So number 7, cursor alternatives to playful interactions. So you may have seen this occasionally, just you have the normal like cursor, right? But some people are doing like little star cursors or things like that. And it kind of makes it a little bit more fun. Again, keep in mind that you want to prioritize usability. So make sure that the cursor is intuitive and like it doesn't hinder the navigation of your website. I've been seeing more and more people long for the outdoors and holistic practices, and that natural type of elements are also getting used throughout designs. So just whether it's an overlapping mountain or just grand photography that is like that, those are getting used quite a bit. Now, this is a therapy business. So you might think like, how can I fit that into my brand? But this particular therapist does a lot of like going outside, I think, with her clients. And so it worked to fit this into her website when we were discussing it. And as we were creating like little elements, the sun, like it all fit in with her branding. So again, you want to keep in mind your brand, your ideal client. But this is her hiking a mountain. Like she works with people in wild spaces. That's kind of her tagline. So it did really work for her brand. And then the 9th suggestion I have for you is just show the process. This is especially really crucial if you are an architect, interior designer, home builder. People want to see like the sketch of the home and then what happens next, especially with those higher ticket items. So ways that you could do this if you're a service-based business like I am, I have steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and so I don't have as much imagery, but you could do something like that. Even if it's not like your final product, is there some type of Mod Podge art or doodles you can add to it? Squarespace now, so a lot of times when Squarespace is coming up with these new things, that's kind of also showing me trends. They allow you to have like your background be like, when you can usually choose a color or a photo or a video. Now you can choose like a shape or element. And so you can choose like these circles to go behind and kind of move, or these like paintbrush strokes. It kind of gives you that like doodle Mod Podge effect, like an artist's hand. So again, that wouldn't work for my brand, but if it works for your brand, feel free to use that. And it just kind of takes them into your process. Again, with all of these things, remember that design trends will come and they'll go. And so your website's purpose should be at the forefront of your mind. Yes, if you want to embrace the bold colors or animations, go ahead and do that, but make sure you ask yourself prior, does it align with your audience? Does it help guide the user to ultimately take the action you want them to take, or is it distracting them? And that's just something to keep in mind. I thought it was really interesting. I interviewed my email list at the end of 2024, and I said, what is your website design style? 57.1% said minimalist. So yes, these are design trends, but my people, they're still into the minimalist. After that, 14% said colorful and bold, and 14% said elegant and luxury. And then 14% or so was boho, and then the rest was like the other little ones. So it really, minimalist was the big thing for me, and that is what I'm going to keep in mind as I'm crafting my social media strategy, which, let's be honest, I focus on SEO more than social media, but I am really focusing on modern and just timeless stuff, because that's who I am. That's what my house, very minimalist, and that's what my brand is. And so that's the ideal client I draw in. So let me know below if you guys have any other questions about design trends or want more examples. If you guys are interested in going through a quick, free training all about how to DIY a website in a weekend, look below. I will link it, and I would love to see you in that training.